Translating off golden plates?
Lucy Harris, smart, 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 smart.
Why would he make it up?
Martin Harris, dum, da, dum.
All right, here. I'm gonna hide these pages. If Joseph Smith really is translating off of golden plates, then he'll be able to do it again. But if Joseph Smith is making it all up, then the new translations will be different from these.
I bet he'll have no problem.
Lucy Harris, smart, smart, smart. Martin Harris, dumb. So Martin went on back to Smith, said the pages had gone away. Smith got mad and told Martin he needed to go pray.
I'm sorry about losing the pages we worked on, Joe, but I'm ready to write it all down again if you translate from the plates.
I would love to, Martin. Except, I just had a vision, and the Lord said he is very angry with me for letting you take those pages.
He is?
He is so mad that he will never let me translate from the plate of Lehi again. He said we must now translate from the plate of Nephi. So it will be the same basic story, but written a little differently.
Wow! If God got angry with you, then you must be telling the truth.
Dum, 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 dum.
All right, Martin, let's get to work.
And that's how it happened.
Yes, indeed, everybody. There is not a single thing in there that is not true. Oh, God. I mean, I would have to think that... I can't think it's the worst, because, my next show I'm going to get into Scientology, which is even way fucking farther off than that. But how this religion took root is the absolute... I mean, it just screams how stupid and gullible people are. I always call people fucking sheep. You tell somebody something, they believe it. I mean, but the interesting thing is there was a friend of mine one time that we had a discussion on these people in history that have turned out to be psychopaths, or so we think they're psychopaths, and have got all these people to follow them without question. Now, I do not think Joseph Smith was a stupid man. I mean, the guy was, I don't think he was whacked out. I think he needed money. He started a fucking religion, and homeboy got paid. Now, did he think it was going to go, as well as it has? Probably not. He probably wanted some cash to get out the country. But fuck me. So, yeah, what they said was right. Joseph Smith translated golden plates given to him by God into English. Now, what I found is that he did not translate the Reformed Egyptian into contemporary English. Instead, he translated them into, the King James style of English. Coincidentally, he did grow up reading the King James Bible. He was actually very familiar with it. Now, there are some huge I mean, the guy was smart, but I don't think he was necessarily that educated. Similar to a lot of cult people, even though we'll say, for instance, Hitler, didn't have a cult or anything. However, it wasn't that friggin' educated, but people fucking listened to him and did what he said and put him into power and killed 6 million Jews in the process because people are fucking sheep. It goes the same thing with Muhammad. Okay, although the stories are kind of similar there. Muhammad decides he goes off to a cave and gets visited by a fucking angel, Gabriel. This guy, Joseph Smith, is off wandering around the fucking woods and, picking fucking berries and playing with fucking rabbits or whatever he's doing. And he gets visited by an angel. That's interesting. There's a little comparison there, a little, thing. Both men were opportunists, grew up and eventually attaining great wealth because of their beliefs and what they convinced people of. I I mean, even if you take people like Jim Jones, Jim Jones eventually had enough money to go build a compound in fucking Africa, and kill off a bunch of people. But people listen to people like Jim Jones and went, hey, you make sense, and I'm going to follow you, and, oh, you want me to drink the Kool-Aid? Well, okay. Fucking sheep, what is it with you people? You're so fucking stupid that you believe anything as long as it's a good story. I used to be a salesman. I understand that. I can convince people to do just about fucking anything, because if you speak to them the right way, then they listen to you, and they say, hey, he must be truthful. And I was truthful. I mean, I never sold people a bunch of shit they didn't. But still, I mean, I picture like Muhammad and assuming Jesus existed, which I don't believe he ever did, but assuming he did, or or Joseph Smith, or any of these huge religious, Jim Jones, any of the major religions, or a Christian religion, is used car salesmen. That's what these founders are. Fucking used car salesmen. However, in the Book of Mormon, like I do with anything, there are a ton of things that are just fucking wrong. I mean, I'm not saying wrong because I believe them to be wrong. I'm saying factually wrong. For instance, the Book of Mormon claims the following tools existed in ancient Mesoamerica. Okay? The Book of Mormon claims these tools existed. They say, yes, they were there. They claim chariots, steel swords, bellows for blacksmithing, and silk. However, none of these fucking things existed in America until the Columbian Exchange. None. But the Book of Mormon says they do. The Book of Mormon describes vast civilization of millions who inhabited cities for hundreds of years. Yet, no ruins from even a single Book of Mormon city have ever been identified in America. No Book of Mormon place names were in use when Europeans arrived in the New World. There wasn't millions of people here. There was millions of fucking bears, and shit like that, but there wasn't fucking millions. Sorry, just wasn't. We know that now. We didn't know that in 1855, or at least he did. The Book of Mormon refers to animals and crops that did not exist in America until Columbus arrived. For instance, they did not have fucking donkeys, bull, calf, cattle, cow, domestic goat, a horse, an ox. They didn't have domestic sheep. They didn't have a sow, swine, elephants, wheat, and barley. They didn't have any of them. Until Columbus got here and started planting that shit and bringing animals over. Book of Mormon says he did. The Book of Mormon says that Native Americans descended from Semitic origins. However, through archaeology and DNA testing, you fuckers, we know that Native Americans descended from Asiatic origins. I mean, that's just basically saying that Native Americans had been descended from one of the lost tribes of Israel. That's what he's claiming. It's exactly what he's claiming. Really? Oh, shit. There are no examples of Reformed Egyptian in Mesoamerican history, and no Native American language is related to either ancient Egyptian or Hebrew, whereas a relationship does exist between Native American languages and Asian or Siberian languages. Nothing. There's no Native Americans even fucking close to what he's talking about. Their base language doesn't account for anything. Now, as shown in that Mormon, South Park episode thing that I put on, a woman stole a translation from Joseph Smith and demanded that he replace it with an exact copy, saying, "If this be a divine communication, the same being that revealed it to you can now easily replace it." Smith refused and wrote the same manuscript from a different point of view. See, God said, well, I can't do that for you. I mean, I give you a new version of what you said because, God evidently couldn't repeat himself. It's above that shit. Joseph Smith was given real Egyptian from an ancient Egyptian burial to translate. This was, like pre-Rosetta Stone, I guess. and he couldn't read it. Modern-day scholars agree that his translation is entirely manufactured and incorrect. I mean, how many Mormons believe this fucking obvious bullshit? And I haven't even got into the worst bullshit yet. But even based on that, how the fuck could they believe that shit? In addition, before Joseph Smith found the golden plates, he claimed to be able to find gold. He was a fucking criminal. He defrauded some people out of their money and ended up digging into the ground, and surprised they found nothing. He had an arrest record. I'm not making it up. Check it out. He was a criminal. He also says that black people having dark skin because their ancestors sinned against God. That's what he claimed. He sinned against God and they're black. And then now, not up until I think it was like 1970s, blacks couldn't do shit in their church. Nothing. Because their ancestors were evil. And then they were getting a lot of shit about it. We've got the movement going on. We've got the civil rights thing. And then their holiest of holy, because they have a big guy up there that directly speaks to God, said, okay, wait a minute. God said it's okay to hang out with them now. It's an ever-evolving religion. They keep up to date, man. I can't wait till the day where they start marrying gay people, because they're going to do it. God said it's okay because they were born that way. A la Lady Gaga. The funny thing is they think, now not that I believe there's a Garden of Eden, but Joseph Smith thinks the Garden of Eden is located somewhere in fucking Missouri. I'm not making that up. I'm not making it up. He also believes that God is a 6'2" white man that lives on Kolob. Kolob is the planet to where God lives. So there you go. That's Mormonism in a nutshell. Kolob. I don't think it's Caleb. It's Kolob. Kolob. That's it. Kolob. Yeah, they believe in that shit. There's a planet up there, not too far, but far enough that we can't ever fucking see it. That's where God is. Because Joseph Smith, the con man, in 1855 said so. So there you go. Now, that being said, I have to admit, I see what the draw is. Because it's such a little peaceful religion, and I tell you why. Because you can't do anything that's going to fuck you up, with the exception of murder. That's it. That's the only way that you can't be entered into the kingdom of heaven, is through murder. Other than that, everything's fine. As long as you have a good heart, everything's cool. I mean, that's kind of nice. That means, I know that I'm a good person. I try to help people. I try to do things like that. And even though I don't believe in any kind of deity whatsoever, I'm going to be all right. But whoa, hold on a second. There's 3 levels of heaven. Now, I got to figure out which one I'm going to be in. And then, of course, there's hell. But I got to figure out which one I'm going to be in. So let's review. We have the terrestrial, the telestial, and the celestial kingdoms. That is the kingdoms of God. Now, let me explain. Let's start at the bottom. The bottom is the terrestrial, and this is how it was explained to me, which I'll get into in a minute why it was explained to me. It was explained to me that the terrestrial kingdom, once you die, and your body separates from your spirit separates from your body, then you go into the spirit world. Huh? And then on Judgment Day, which we don't really know when the fuck that is, when Judgment Day comes around, then This is the greatest thing. Then you will be reunited with your body because you will be resurrected, but you will be free of all disease and will be like fucking Superman. I mean, no disease, no nothing. We can't get hurt.